Hello, friends. This is Krista coming to you from the Pacific Northwest, coming to you today to talk about the false memory syndrome and amnesia for any kind of trauma survivor. I can't believe I just found out today that the False Memory Syndrome Foundation was taken down on December 31st of 2019. Now, I'd known that people had debunked the parents of this foundation, and they, claimed it was fake psychology, which it was and is 100%. But I didn't realize it was officially taken down 3 years ago. So that's awesome. The reason why these individuals created the false memory syndrome is the daughter of this couple accused the father of sexually molesting her. And the parents created this false memory syndrome label to lie about their behavior. And so, statistics show that at least 1 in 4 children are sexually molested before the age of, I think it's 10. And that usually happens by a member in their family or within their extended family circle, a close family friend or relative. And so, the parents, people could use this for people who are severely traumatized, would try to use this false memory syndrome card. Also, churches would sometimes say, call the false memory syndrome, play this game. And people now reflect back and look back and say it was really the survivors speaking up in the 1990s. It was essentially the Me Too movement of the 1990s, speaking up, remembering what happened to them. And that is a totally normal response, not to remember your trauma until you're ready, until you're emotionally, psychologically, physically ready. As this map of the brain shows, the way memories can be bypassed from extreme trauma. You could bypass, not even be stored it could be stored instead in the body or in emotions in some other part, instead of going normally from the amygdala to the hippocampus to the prefrontal cortex. That excessive trauma is bypassed altogether and not filed in a normal way that memories are filed. So I just want to share that with you. The reason why I'm talking about as an SRA survivor and sexual abuse survivor is because back in 1992, when I moved away to go to college, I shared my memory with a parent. That person pulled the false memory syndrome card. And it wasn't discussed for decades, 2 decades or 3 decades later. So I'm happy to see that the foundation is debunked. I know it has been long ago, but it's officially taken down. I also want to say that amnesia is, as more and more people realize, amnesia is a normal thing for extreme trauma that people will not naturally remember. In the medical field, if someone's in a car accident and let's say it's 2 people, one person dies and the other person wakes up in the hospital, oftentimes they may not recall initially what happened because the event was so traumatizing and the death of the other person or the injury of the person was so traumatizing that they blank it out. And nobody in the medical establishment questions that individual who survived, who can't remember what happened to their loved one or friend. Nobody questions them or says that their amnesia isn't real. But that's what was going on to trauma survivors of sexual abuse and other forms of abuse, is they'll say, your memory isn't real. When it's just not filed in the brain in the normal place it has to, the trauma is so severe that it bypasses the normal pathways. So I wanted to share that with you. I will put a link in the description with an article about the foundation being taken down, their website being taken down. And a lot of people sort of really kind of celebrating that as a win for survivors of all stripes. And my hope is that anyone suffering from PTSD or complex PTSD, that you're able to get the support and care you need to support your central nervous system, or do look into polyvagal theory and other forms of treatment to heal. And I also have found that God is healing me. And in scripture, it talks about Jesus, he came to heal the brokenhearted and heal our wounds. And he does bring us back together. He is faithful. It takes time, but leaning into God for me has been really miraculous. And I know that not everyone on this channel may be believers, but I just want to share a little bit of my testimony. And thank you so much for listening.